Hi, welcome to my 4-week carnivore diet update. So I've been at this for almost a month and I'm feeling pretty good. I just got back from 3 days in Yosemite and Sequoia Parks with two of my kids. And so this is 1 day late, but that's okay. So my goal for this diet, really, when I knew my kids were coming out to visit, was to be under 200 pounds. I started at 214 point something. And all I can say is that the morning that they were there, because they flew in at night, I was exactly 200.0. So a little disappointed, but I was actually, still happy. So, but after 3 days of hiking and being out in higher elevation and not eating as much, I am down to 198.2. So that is my really big update for me. That is a personal goal that I've had for a very long time, was to be under 200, and I haven't seen that probably. I think I saw it once. I want to say it was quite a few years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, but I gained it back and stayed around the 215 to 230 mark. And so I've been over 200 since probably 2014, after I got really, really sick. And so this was a really big, huge thing for me. So very happy to see that number. And I know we shouldn't focus on numbers. I get that, but it's just a personal thing for me. So my belt loop, I went down one more notch. So definitely losing around the waist a lot. My kids did notice my weight loss. So that was good. My numbers have really come down. My body fat, water percentage has increased. I went from like 36.5% to 39. The low end of average is 45, so I'm really working my way towards that. And so symptoms, really weird. I had a very weird experience the past 3 days. So after we hiked in Sequoia on Monday, we then went over, we left late at night and went 4 hours up to Yosemite. And it was a long hike, long day. So, I was sore the next day, and I kind of expected that. And, but it was like really sore. Like I was getting out of bed was like, oh my gosh. And once I got moving, I was okay. And we didn't do a lot of hiking on Monday. We went up to Glacier Point. We did some walking, some sightseeing, things like that, but a lot of exertion on Tuesday. But I was still really sore even when I woke up Wednesday, and we were supposed to do Verdo Falls, which, if anybody's been there, it's a pretty good hike up. It's pretty steep in many places, lots of stairs. So I was a little curious about all this, because I was like, why am I in so much pain when I've exercised and woke up with no pain? So I was very, a little perplexed. I'm like, yeah, I did a little more than I normally would, but still, very, very sore. But I think it's the elevation change. I mean, we're talking 7,000, anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 feet is where we were hiking. So with that, I woke up this morning, and mind you, I did Vernal Falls yesterday and went further than the last time I went with my other daughter. So that was really good. Still had to take a lot of breaks, but it was, like I said, I really used my legs a lot, and I woke up zero pain. So I think it's the elevation. That's the only thing I could attribute it to. Now, the other thing that happened that was excessively bizarre was Monday I was feeling really tired. Mind you, I had like 5 or 6 days of poor sleep, knowing my kids were coming, trying to get ready, tossing and turning. I had some other issues I'll explain. So when I was feeling really fatigued, I was like, I should try these Element I got they're all sugar free, but you have some sweetened ones. I get the unsweetened ones. I, just got the plain ones, and I was really, really fatigued because I was just so tired, just like from lack of sleep. And then the elevation changed. So we were up at 7,000 feet. So like, I should try a little bit of these electrolytes. Now, mind you, one packet's supposed to go in, I don't know how many ounces, but I had like a 32-ounce thing of water. I literally put in maybe a quarter packet, shook it up, mixed it up, 2-3 sips of it, and legit within 2 to 3 minutes, my tricep muscle spasmed like crazy. The muscle is like a Charlie horse in my arm. I was almost in tears. It hurt so bad. My kids were like, "Mom, what's wrong?" And I couldn't even move my arm. It just hurt so bad. I just had it clutched to my chest. And they're like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's just this really bad muscle spasm." So here's the thing. My guess is if you have no muscle spasms, you don't need electrolytes. I don't know. I mean, for me, at least, that's how I'm taking this, because you can have too much electrolytes. So apparently my electrolytes are fine. My fatigue is obviously, I think, from something else. And I'll explain that later too, because that's my theory about fat loss and things like that, which leads to my fatigue. But anyway, so I'm like, okay, this can't be the electrolytes. I'm like, that's just weird. Maybe it's just things are just trying to balance themselves out. So we're walking. And, after really massaging it and everything else, it stopped spasming. So I ended up having a couple more sips of water. And then my thigh started spasming really bad. Now, mind you, we're on our way down. We had a 4-hour drive to Yosemite to do. And I'm like, I cannot have my leg out of commission if I have to drive. Mind you, my kids can drive. They're of age, but, they were exhausted from the plane ride and working prior to coming. So, everybody was exhausted. I'm like, I really got to get my act together here. So I'm like, what? My massive Charlie horse in my leg. Again, wanted to cry. I was like, could barely move. So I'm like, okay, it's definitely the electrolytes. Don't know why. I don't know why it would cause my muscles to spasm so bad. Looked it up, and yes, too much can actually cause the Charlie horses as well. So apparently my fatigue has nothing to do with electrolyte imbalance. My trying to take electrolytes did not help. In fact, they hurt me. So just keep that in mind if you're doing electrolytes, or if you want to try them, be mindful that if you do get them, I would try to maybe get your, a chemistry panel done. That's what I'm planning on doing, to see where my electrolytes are, because I was just shocked at how much pain taking a few sips of electrolytes caused me. So other issues that I had throughout the week. So prior to my kids coming, so I did have a couple of hot flashes, and they were very mild. I woke up in the middle of the night, and both times it was like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and it was just a little sweaty, nothing like pouring sweat. I had to get in front of a fan, nothing like that. Just woke up really hot. And so I think that at this point, my menopause symptoms are trying to balance out. I never really had a lot of hot flashes, so these are probably the more severe ones, even though, again, I'm not drenched in sweat. I wasn't being, I don't know, it didn't last longer than, 5 minutes. So I've been very fortunate with going through menopause to not have really severe symptoms to begin with. But these, like I said, I think my body is definitely balancing out some hormones. So on an emotional level, I've actually been really good. We had some really major financial setbacks recently. Mostly trying to help out our kids. My son had an accident, minor, but still. And his transmission went on his truck. So he was borrowing my daughter's car. He got into an accident with her car. It was just a whole bunch of stuff. And so we are trying to financially help them, and there's some other setbacks too in our personal life. So normally that would kind of set me off a little bit emotionally, but I've been actually very calm, very, very cool and collected, if you will, which is not normal. Even my daughter, she had to tell me something, and she had done something that she thought I was going to be upset with, and it wasn't major, but for, I don't want to say anything only because if my husband's watching this, he doesn't know yet, so she's going to tell him here in a little bit, so maybe I'll tell you guys next week, and how he took it. Anyway, so it wasn't anything major in my opinion. She thought it was going to be, so she thought I was like really going to get upset, and I wasn't. I was completely very supportive of her, and she was shocked, and I'm like, I've just been feeling so much better mentally. So the mental clarity is definitely getting better and better. So that's really good. Now the other thing too that I noticed was we were getting eaten up by mosquitoes. Now normally mosquitoes don't bother me, so I only had a few. But the thing is, I didn't even know I had them. Although my kids were like, we were brushing mosquitoes off of, all of us. I was brushing them off my daughter, my son, they were brushing them off of me. Apparently I had quite a few. But I can honestly say that, and I can show you, which is really weird because mosquito bites usually swell up, get a big bump, are really itchy. I didn't itch, so I didn't know that I had these mosquito bites. So I have like 2 or 3, but the one you can see is actually right here. So it's red or pink around it, but the bump is really small. So, because they were really around our faces, and they were just everywhere. So that was really weird. So that's my mosquito bite. That's not normal. Normally, this whole red area would be actually very swollen. Like that's my normal mosquito bite reaction. So that's a nice thing. Got a little sunburnt, not too bad. Didn't use any sunscreen, was out in the sun every day. So I got a tinge on my shoulders, and that's it. But of course, no pain, nothing. So those are good. Now for the theory on my fat loss and fatigue. So here's my theory. I studied this before, and I haven't gotten too in depth in the studying about this, so I have to do a little bit more, but this is just a theory in the works, and I have to do more research. So here it goes. Our fat cells supposedly contain a lot of toxins, so our body, if they can't get rid of it or they can't filter them out, will be stored in our fat cells. And so as we break apart these fat cells, they are now being processed through our body and flushed out. Well, processing those toxins, we're releasing a lot of toxins as we lose a lot of fat. That to me means I seem to be needing more sleep, and I seem to have these moments of extreme fatigue. But in between that, I have a lot of energy. So it's very bizarre. So to me, I think that these moments of fatigue in the beginning are because of all this fat loss, especially, when you get into ketosis and you really start to break apart and release these toxins, your body has to fight that. And so your body's in a process of healing and as well. And so when you heal best when you sleep. So your body, does try to force you to sleep, hence causing fatigue. So that's my theory. So like I said, I've been having some fatigue, but if I have to push myself, I can. So, which normally in the past I wouldn't be able to. Oh, I gotta leave for work. Anyway, so I'm going to get this video here wrapped up. Foods I was eating, no more coffee. Cut that out after the week before. I had 2 cups, and I don't know. It just made me feel so much worse, fatigue-wise, and also just feeling blah. So cut cut coffee off completely. I'm totally fine with that. And back to my bacon for fat increase. And I did have the meat aversion this week. And I think I might still have it. I did have some meat sticks on my trip, but I don't know. It just didn't, they didn't taste like regular meat, like a steak or anything. To me, it just was like, I got to eat it because I need to eat. And I can have bacon, but the thought of steak right now in my roast that I made, that I'm defrosting, is this, but we'll see. So, yeah. So I did have one cheeseburger at Wendy's like on Monday, and I did okay with that because I was starving. So I think my meat aversion might be over, but it was like before my kids came, I went 3 days of like just chicken wings and bacon and maybe some cheese because the thought of meat like made me want to puke. So I did have that meat aversion that everybody talks about that happens between week 3 and 4. But I'm going to wrap this up because I'm going to leave for work. So hope you all have a great day and hope your carnivore diet experience is going well. See you next week.